Hello, and welcome to another episode of Ask Adam Live. Ask Adam is an acronym: Ask, Always Seek Knowledge. As our goal in each one of these episodes is to provide to you a little bit of knowledge and even maybe to provoke some thought within yourself to say, hey, how can I look a little deeper into this? Although some of our subjects sometimes are vague or a little bit more in detail, and hopefully with an entertaining story to run parallel with some of this great advice, but also that you just seek knowledge and maybe find yourself not necessarily going down the rabbit hole of a Google search, but just starting to understand a little bit more of yourself and what your unique purpose is and what you truly are supposed to bring to this world. My name is Adam, and welcome to the show. In today's episode, design your dream career. You know, you are the architect of the life that you want, and we're going to look into that a little bit. You know, life happens for us, not to us. I know you've heard me say that many times before, and it's true. It truly is happening for us. And you know, one of the things that is a perfect example of this occurring is, for example, I was actually talking to a client of mine a couple of days ago. We were having this exact conversation. And as I was not thinking of the podcast per se, but it was just that I knew it was coming up. I knew the episode and I knew I had to kind of get ready. And when I looked at the title, I said, I already talked about this. This is easy. So, not to disclose the client's information or anything like that, but if I seem really excited, it's because I kind of am. I was sharing this same exact information, like I said, just before. And yeah, it was kind of interesting because after we had that talk and I kind of stepped away from the meeting and was yet again reminded that that's pretty much what I do and that's what I'm doing here is fulfilling my soul's purpose. So part of the Ask Adam Live goal, if you will, is to help individuals find their soul's purpose, to find out what exactly is the thing that makes you you, your identifiable, unique signature that is you, the authentic you. And then how do we discover that you and craft it into that thing that you were destined to do, that you're supposed to do? And I know we talked about it a little bit on a previous episode about kind of finding your why, as well as to find out what it is, and the how always comes later, right? So designing your dream career and basically, yeah, you get the pen and pencil out, sketch pencil, whatever, and start designing, whether you're a mechanical minded person where it's more of the architectural drawings of Frank Lloyd that has all these aspects of something, or whether you like to do the shading, with the charcoal, I believe it is. Either way, uh, I can certainly speak from many, many years of experience that I found myself using a lot more of the eraser side of the pencil than actually drawing. And only because I sketched a lot of stuff out and said, okay, that's my career and that's what I want to do. And then found myself taking an eraser and erasing it. And I just want to share that in the beginning of don't do that. Luckily, I remember things and absorb things and stuff like that, my unique feature. So I haven't forgot, but the reason I share with you is don't be so quick to use the eraser like I did when you're sketching out your dream career, is because what I found is that one leads to another that leads to another. So from one position, exercise, learning, whatever you want to call your present career, you will eventually find it kind of stair steps you into the next position. What you've learned in phase one prepares you for phase two. Phase two and phase one kind of parallel together and put you in the position for phase three. And quite frankly, again, always seek knowledge. If you are always kind of getting more interested in what it is that you do and getting more interested in your career and finding out more information about what it is that you do and how others do it and just the details within, that will certainly accelerate your phases, if you will, to get to the next step. So first of all, envision your ideal future, right? And I mean, sky's the limit. Actually, the moon's the limit. It was, and I know he's going to be very upset at me for not remembering, but his famous phrase was, "Shoot for the stars, and you just might hit the moon." And I've kind of followed that a little bit too, and have hit the moon and back several times. And but nonetheless, just start imagining, your dream life, and not something that's going to happen tomorrow. Not winning the lottery, if you will. That dream where, okay, Friday I want to win the lottery, and Friday's coming up soon. I'm talking like a 5 to 10 year plan. And that's why, the sky's the limit. Really stretch yourself out and say, what is it, that is your passion? And much like the conversation with the client, and of course, first we started out with the why. Got to understand your why. Your why is really the foundation of everything that you're doing. So understanding your why, this is kind of the what factor, right? Is what is it that you're passionate about? Kind of like, where's the space that you live? What current projects are you working on now? And, are you collaborating with someone on this particular project? And is this something that you love to do? If you have this just crazy passion about what you're doing right now, hey, congratulations, you are on the right path for sure. If not, and you're maybe feeling a little stuck or a little out of place, well, you're probably not on your path. And that's why it's great that you're tuning into this podcast now at this point in your life, because it's time to start focusing and understanding that change is on the horizon. It's up ahead, and it's something that you certainly should be considering doing. Again, always seeking knowledge. That knowledge is also about yourself. Write these visions down and start to create maybe a vision board or some images that help capture where you want to be, and begin to picture yourself in and at those places. Okay. So if you see yourself as a designer of fashion, have an image of a runway and maybe take a selfie. And I mean, you can do this with so many imagery software and applications these days, but superimpose yourself standing in front of a runway with the model in the background, and although it's not your design, you're starting to see yourself at the runway, that will eventually be your design on that model. So you need to see yourself in that position. And as you look at that daily, seeing yourself there doing that thing, which is what you love to do, right? Again, this is something that really kind of captures and excites you. Don't think, well, I'd really like to do this, although it doesn't hurt. Like I said, I've had several careers, so I really liked doing many things. But what I also found is that, well, at least my soul and my personality, I got bored with it really quick. I have a tendency to just master something and then kind of be one and done and say, well, okay, I mastered this. Let's move on to mastering something else. And I would just sort of figure out how something worked, how it didn't work, and develop that key of mastery, and then not really take it forward. And again, that was because it wasn't my soul's purpose. It wasn't what I was designed to do. Certainly, all that experience has led me to where I'm at today, sharing with you. But nonetheless, if you are feeling stuck, really sit in that quiet space and start sketching out what it is that your dream career is. Whether it's writing down in a journal, that's a wonderful exercise. Even on the daily, is just put down things that you're grateful for. Spend some time in that quiet space, and it will come to you what it is that you are supposed to do. In fact, you might even be reminded, like me, that it was something that was actually prophetic to me at a younger age, and it just kind of kept knocking at my door while I was busy trying to seek other things that I thought would be entertaining and my way of life. Nonetheless, I had to finally stop and answer the door and realize that that thing was kind of what I was supposed to do all along. So I'm sharing with you is certainly learn how to be maybe a little bit more intuitive with yourself to see that, that thing that's inside you that gets you excited and passionate and something that you're doing, this thing called a career, that you probably should answer the door and don't ignore it. Because quite frankly, the more you ignore it, the more frustrating I think you're going to find that life will become, because you're really not doing what you're supposed to do in this life. Like I mentioned earlier, clarify your why. Ask yourself, what are you really drawn to as far as a role or a particular industry? Understanding your why behind your ambitions, it kind of keeps you motivated through the challenges of the what you're doing, what is your passion, which of course is part of your design. But as you're kind of going through that, the why is what's always going to resonate with you, and you're just going to keep pushing on. You're going to put in some long days. You're going to something that seems difficult, you're always going to be remembered about your why, and that's going to kind of help push you through. The how, I mean, that just comes in time. As I shared with the client, is that don't worry about the how, but figure out the what, and always rely on your why, because your why is what's going to get you through for sure. Part of this process also is to assess your strengths and your passions, right? What is something that you can do or that you're currently doing where time stands still, where you sort of forget, Einstein said that time was relevant, but what is it that you do for 16, 18 hours, and then you're like, wow, where'd the day go? You're doing your passion because you're forgetting about life as it is around us, and you're being your authentic self, doing your authentic thing. And so, whatever that is that you're experiencing in life right now, or something that you dream you'd like to do, maybe you've dabbled in it lightly, and those little experiences were like, wow, I really enjoyed doing that. That was just amazing. I didn't feel tired. I didn't feel stressed, and everybody just marveled at the way I was handling things. There's your gift. Um, that's it. That's all you got to do. I mean, keep listening to the podcast, but it's like that's your aha moment to say, hey, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and this is it. And part of this process is to seek the feedback. So as people are telling you that you're doing a great job, or wow, you really handled that stressful situation amazingly, take that as feedback that you're doing what you're designed to do. And seek some mentors that are doing this thing that you're loving to do, and get some insight from them as far as where they were, what they're doing, and maybe a little bit of where they're going. I shared with another client that your mastermind group that you have, both personal and business, because I think they go hand in hand as far as support, is your mastermind group needs to kind of always be a little bit above you, right? They need to just be having you always try to reach towards them. And some mentors are growing and you're growing with them. And so there's always kind of that gap, and that's okay. That's actually a perfect scenario if you can find that situation. But many times what we do is we gain, if our mentor is kind of stagnant, that we gain that position and now we're level with our mentor, and they're not really challenging us, or they don't have us, striving for that much more. Some mentors, they're okay with where they're at and they're going to help you get further above them with that expertise as well as with the challenges. So don't necessarily get too um, concerned if you exceed what your mentor has taught and showed you, and maybe they're a little limited. They may just be a really good coach, part of your pep squad that's kind of like, hey, what are you doing this week? Okay, keep doing that. And they're keeping you motivated and moving forward. There's nothing wrong with that. Part of the reason I bring this up is that we can reach a point where we're level with that mentor, teacher, mastermind, team member, and they're not really instigating growth. And when that's the case, then we can become stagnant. So I only share that with you that you are aware of it and that you don't become stagnant, that you don't become complacent, that you don't become okay with the status quo of your position, but that you're always seeking and striving to go higher. I mean, even come on, even the billionaires of our days, as as famous as they are, with their large corporations and whatnot, and philanthropy and everything else, I mean, they're still getting up every day and saying what's next. So it's not, I don't think it's a greed. I think it's just that mentality of it's not enough to just be here, right? It's not. How many people go to like the amusement park, right? And you ride the roller coaster, and you ride a particular roller coaster, and you're like, okay, that was a lot of fun. Where can we ride the next biggest, fastest, most extreme roller coaster, right? So it's like you're striving for more and more entertainment. Well, guess what? Your life and your career are just the same as this. It's the same exercise, right? So you want to continue to seek more. Did I say always seek knowledge? Well, always seek to gain a little more, right? As well. And be specific with who you're getting feedback from, because you can sometimes go to family and friends and they're going to give you some feedback. They might kind of goof around with you a little bit because they're family and they're comfortable with being honest with you. And that's helpful, but it can also be slightly negative if their feedback is, well, that's kind of good if you're just kind of dabbling with it and just kind of messing around, and hey, that's a pretty good hobby you have. But if this is seriously a career, and like I said earlier, this is a 5 to 10 year goal that you're setting before yourself. What do you want to be doing in 5 to 10 years? And if this is the thing, you don't want that negative feedback to even set a seed into your progress. So be a little selective as to who your feedback is coming from. Certainly mentors, masterminds, peers that are maybe doing the same thing. Get some feedback just to see how they're doing. You may find that you've accelerated past them, or you may find some nuggets of stuff that they're doing. And let me also share with you, since we're on this, don't necessarily think that someone has done something, an action, in doing the same thing that you're doing, and they failed, and you go, yeah, I don't, you tell yourself, well, that really, gosh, that's something I can do. Because they failed at it means that it may or may not have been what they were supposed to do. or it may not have been something specific that they didn't treat it correctly. So don't learn from others' failures, but also take a little nugget of a chance, if you will, and try something that take a hint from someone to understand, oh, they did this. Okay, well, I haven't done that yet. Let me try. Try with the intention of success, but also be keenly aware that the moment you're not gaining success and it just doesn't feel comfortable, it's kind of weird. Certainly, with all due respect, absolutely, you can step back and say, yeah, I agree with them, it didn't work. I share that with you is because we all have a unique fingerprint. We all have this unique energy about us, and where someone else failed may be where we succeed. So certainly look into, does that fit your character and your personality? And then, as you wonder, well, gosh, that's right up what I do. If it's networking with people and you're like, I network with people all the time and make the best of friends, that go do it. That's your deal. And maybe they're not the best network individual to, just sort of get people into a group and sort of just captivate that audience that kind of wasn't their thing. So don't take it as their failure equals your failure. Take their failure as something maybe you haven't tried, and then once you've tried it, and again, short period of time, little tests, little tests. I think a lot of what life is about. Keynote here, write something down. Life is a series of lessons, and at the end of life is a series of learned lessons. Remember, what we write, we invite. Write this down. It's learned lessons in life is what helps to reinforce. So give something a try for a moment, validate that it works or doesn't work, take that notation, and then move on. You may find it works. Then part of this is also, find, if you're still struggling, I guess, would be this part of this, finding strengths and passion, is look for those common threads of what you love to do and maybe something you excel at. Like I said, networking, maybe it's something that's easy for you. That often sort of can create that crossroad of your passion and something that comes natural, something you excel at. uh, that can be your career path, and focus on that. Again, you honestly have to feel it in your heart too. It's got to be in your core chakra that you feel good about it. And yeah, success might not come immediate, but you just always feel good about it. Whether it's sales, whether it's being creative, whether it's content, whether it's taking, art, whether it's painting or imagery or something. If it's something that truly, like I said, the clock stands still and you can do it for hours, and you have ideas and imagery and passion, and if you say you write, you have stories upon stories that you could just burn up to typewriter after typewriter, writing out, you could be the next James Patterson. I mean, the guy's punching out books like nobody's business. And it's because he just has stories. That's his unique gift, right? He figured it out, and that's what he's doing. So you figure, seek that knowledge to figure out what is your unique gift and start working on it. And to be aware of those things that work and don't work, keenly aware. And some of that is, some research and a little bit of experimentation. Explore these possibilities. Look into various industries, if you will, and roles and business models that align with these skills and interests that you've discovered. If sales is something that you feel comes naturally to you, start looking at what products you're passionate about, what products resonate with you. I found many people that were in the insurance business that they had a story, a really deep, passionate story about why they were, promoting the products that they were so interested in to others, and sharing with them is their why. They had this passion of just, man, this was kind of devastating in my life, and I don't want to see another person, individual or family, to have to suffer or go through this painstaking event. That was kind of their why, and they were very good at it, extremely good at it. In fact, one of the gentlemen that I had worked with was extremely. I don't want to disclose their name or numbers, but let's just say in like 6 or 7 months, blew all the company records out of the water. Just obnoxious. I'm talking 6 to 7 months in the mid six figures. It just, I mean, a lot of it was working it. We'll get into that too, but it was like kind of getting into it, and that's their deal. And so it's, again, explore those possibilities of your skills and interests and how they align. And kind of, prototype your career a little bit. I'm always a big fan of, I was a big fan of jumping in the water. And so many times I would get my mindset on doing something and sort of quit one and go into the next one cold turkey, as they say, and just sort of jump right into the pool, jump into the fire. I always coordinated about a 2 week event between them where I would kind of like just reset my mind. I would go on a vacation, and I have never. I probably should also say, as part of this discussion, is I never was ever fired in my life. I always left on good terms, but I always left on my choosing. And having that ability to do so, I would strategically incorporate 2 weeks of leaving a job and then just setting up that financial freedom for myself, that I took 2 weeks off and would go sit on the beach and read books and just sort of reset myself. And I found that many times that allowed me to not bring any past experiences to the new relationship, known as employment, with a new company. And I would come absolutely refreshed, absolutely ready to work, energized, because the beginning of anything is kind of stressful and tough. So I didn't want to start it by being already stressed that I didn't have a job and then I had bills to pay. That I wanted to start that new position with a fresh mindset, with fresh energy. Not all of us can do that. Again, it's just a small recommendation if you can, but to share with you that what maybe some, like I said, is not something you're just going to turn around and do tomorrow. So it may be something where you're you're working 40 hours now. You have a pretty decent job. It just doesn't fulfill your soul, and that's okay. That's where we're at right now. When you're doing your 40, you need to start strategically figuring out, outside of that 40 or whatever that position is, that free time that you have is where you start placing the bricks, building the foundation of this new thing you're calling your personal career. So that's where life gets a little bit interesting, is because you're spinning plates, you're juggling the bowling pins. But it's, life's going to feel a little bit like a circus. But remember, you're doing your passion, so you're almost going to forget about the first part because you're so passionate about putting together the second part, known as your soulful career, that time's going to fly by. And that's why you want this time to be as useful, effective, and efficient as possible while you're, kind of segueing into this new thing. And it's a unique experience. In fact, it's probably almost another podcast in itself. Note to self. But kind of prototype this position that you're going into. Test your ideas on a small scale, volunteer, freelance, take some side projects during those days that you're off. If you have a liberal leave policy, if there's an opportunity to go, to exercise and do something like this, stretch your wings a little bit and give it a try and come back with that excitement of, okay, that worked once, going to repeat it. That worked twice, going to repeat it. That worked a half a dozen to a dozen times. Hey, I'm really getting the hang of this. Things are working. Now, once you're starting to get things together, start to plan and forecast that exit plan for yourself. These are they don't have to be long. You don't like your weekends, the weekends that you have away from your daily. Try these short experiments out and help evaluate that they're a good fit, that they're working. A little bit of sales or a little bit of activity is better than no activity, and it's helping you kind of craft what your career that you're designing is going to look like. Remember, you're the architect. So if you start building something and realize you don't like a wall in this particular location, or you don't like the door or the window in this location, we're just sketching things out right now. You can change. You can change it for sure. And we're just starting to put the foundational bricks in place, such as what is it that you're passionate about? There's still time to change the floor plan a little bit, if you will, to some degree. Not too extreme, but certainly can be adjusted with windows and doors and stuff like that. And as I mentioned with the mentors and the advisors, I mean, build that network of support. Even just start hanging around people that are doing this thing that you're doing, whether you're like both feet in doing it and kind of doing the side hustle on during your time off, but just like kind of go to groups, go to the social events that they have. Many times they'll invite members for free um, to participate and attend. So seek those out and start to hear the language that they speak. If this is something that you know nothing about, but it's still your passion, then yeah, class is open. Show up and start understanding, reading some books, learning YouTube where you're at. Hopefully, listening to this or watching this is huge to search for others that are doing this to start to get some insights to the ins and outs of this thing called your career and understand a little bit how it works. This is certainly going to help fast track your growth. Looked on LinkedIn, start following those individuals that are doing what it is. You can search on LinkedIn for people's positions and find those people doing what you're doing or what you want to do in your design and just start following them and see the articles that they're posting and the things that they're seeing that are relevant either to themselves and or to the business at large. Then you can kind of understand a little bit of the mindset and the language and all of the nuances that go with this particular career that you're looking to be a part of. If there's maybe a newsletter or publication, an email is usually the way they're distributed nowadays. Certainly sign up for them, but a word of caution: don't sign up for all of them because, quite frankly, they're just going to fill up your inbox, and you're not going to read them all, and you're just going to spend most of your time, clicking out of them rather than actually reading them. So find one that has the language that you understand. Have one that is, giving you feedback. Because if you're reading them and you're like, yeah, this just doesn't jive with me, well, maybe it's not in your language. It's kind of interesting. One of the famous books on the planet, known as the Bible, has not only been printed in various languages, but I'm still constantly amazed at how there's different variations, different interpretations, where the New English version, the uh, like a common version, the everyday speak version. So it's like, yeah, I mean, some newsletters may just be all technical and that's your thing. There may be others that are just kind of casual, but find one that's at least something that you can focus, delete the rest, and just keep feeding your soul, keep feeding your mind with this information. I think it's almost as effective, if not more, to have that level of input in your life as looking at a vision board every day and saying, I want to be this. As I mentioned earlier, if it's fashion, maybe there's a fashion blog that's talking about how softer fabrics, fluffy fabrics, denser fabrics, plaids, or, pastels are coming back, whatever it is. It's, try to understand a little bit of the industry. And again, not to say that you're going to copy what they're doing. You're just starting to see the trends and see that, oh, Paisley's back. Wow, that's crazy. Because, I had this idea that Paisley was going to be the new thing. And I've got so many combinations of how Paisley could, again, you're in your passion and you're getting ready for your right time to implement your specific ideas that are unlike anyone else's. You are unique. And so that's why I recommend kind of you got to get in the industry. One of the examples, for instance, like learning a language, what do you think would be more effective? Going on one of the language apps and listening to it for umpteen hours a day and understanding the fundamentals of that language? Or do you think it would be better if I just dropped you in the middle of the busiest city that spoke that language? And I would imagine in about 2 weeks, just based on survival, you would get the gist of the language, not only the local pronunciation, but also the practicality of what that language gets you as far as through communication. So submerge yourself in the community, if you will. And these are just side things. Like I said, even if you're not ready to jump in the pool, these are weekend things. Instead of watching, streaming something on whatever channel and binge watching, maybe, spend an hour or two reading an article and getting some information. Um, Even to find yourself, if you're going to spend 2 or 3 hours going down the rabbit hole of the industry to learn the language, to learn the people that have either pioneered that industry or people that are up and coming in that industry, just to know a little bit about those that have gone before you, as well as those that might be in your competition or those who are just before you, and to seek them out. Again, the fashion thing, if there's a specific designer that you're like, wow, I really resonate with what they're doing, start following them socially, follow them on LinkedIn, um, try to engage with them. And again, not in a creepy way, but just say, hey, I really like that design. Or was there another concept besides this particular design? And, engage with them in that interactive way, and eventually you could spark their interest to say, wow, this person's really passionate about what they're doing. I need to connect with them. I need to talk with them. Yeah, um they seem really engaged, and that can fall into marketing, if you will, to networking, to learning more about the business. Even again, and your those opportunities come in play. That is also the opportunity of scaling up your mentor. And now you're, somebody who's in the industry, somebody who's crazy successful, and now you're side by side with them, doing your passion, loving what you're doing, I think by this point you should probably give up the 40 and be like, yeah, I'm pretty much into this thing now. But again, all of this is doing. There's all of these steps are doing something. So if you're not at the doing stage yet, we got to go back to one. You got to figure out your why, understand the what, and then you got to be a doer. You really have to be a doer. As we mentioned before, part of this development strategy and timeline with designing your ideal career is that you want to have SMART goals, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound goals, again, to create momentum. Some of the uh, before mentioned actions, specifically get some publications specific to this industry. Where do you want to be in that 5 to 10 years? Be specific. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Do you want something on the runway in 5 years? Well, we got to get working today. Measurable. I want 5 or 6 designs on the runway in 5 years. Is it achievable? Well, if you're already putting together fabric and sewing and creating designs on paper and physically on mannequins or on hangers or what have you, then you're already, it's achievable. And it's relevant, obviously, because you're doing what you're doing, and that you've set a goal that, hey, in 5 years, I want 6 or say 3 outfits that I would like to see on the runway of my design. Okay, well, some of the previous mentioned things should pretty much get you there in about 3 to 5, if not sooner. Again, I'm not sure how fast you're going to work at this thing. It does require a little bit of action on your part, but the aforementioned steps under the SMART goal system is certainly going to create momentum and get you exactly to, where you want to be with regards to that fashion industry. Again, this goes back to what your passion is, apply it to whatever that is. And if you're maybe a little stuck on, well, I don't know what to do. Again, you got to start with the why. And, feel free to reach out. I'm always here to help people understand their why. Many times people kind of understand the what, they just don't know why. And with a few simple questions, all of a sudden the sparks of why come come to fruition, and it's like, oh yeah, yeah, that's my why. Hey, that connects with what I'm doing. Right. So then the next step is the how. Many people get hung up on the how, but again, once you understand your why and you know what it is you're passionate about, the how is a piece of cake. It it will fall into place through just the universal timing. Doors will open, opportunities will fall in place, and that's again because you're submersing yourself into it. You're getting connected with masterminds. You're having conversations. You're going to bed thinking about it. You're waking up from a good night's rest, and you're thinking about this top of mind. And all of a sudden, things just start falling into place. You know, you're doing your deal. Your design is now becoming something of a thing. So what do I always say? Pat yourself on the back, smile, congratulate yourself. You're awesome. You're doing it. Exactly what you sketched out and maybe had a small little thought. Again, not for long because we're always seeking knowledge. But you might have had the small thought of, man, I just don't know if I can do this. But you also took it right out of your mind. You thought of a positive thought that you can do it. You felt that this is your life's purpose and you continued to move forward, right? So you're doing your thing. Things are great. Thing that you also want to consider is the continuous growth. Many times we kind of get complacent. We're living that dream life and we're all excited and things are great and it's just amazing and how or why could it ever stop? I mean, it couldn't. We're moving along. The train is on fire, man. It's running down the tracks top speed. We're really making headway with this thing. What started out as a sketch turned into reality, and it's got all the shapes and corners and colors and everything going on about it, and you're just feeling absolutely terrific about what is taking place in your life, and then you're going to find that it's going to get stagnant. And I can share with you that one of the reasons that it's getting stagnant and one of the ways to not let it get stagnant, write this down, stay curious. What we write, we invite. Embrace your lifelong learning by taking courses, attending workshops, and continue to read extensively into this field that is your passion, that you're into. If there is someone that says, "Hey, I'm going to do a design workshop in a big city in the U.S., for instance," don't tell yourself you can't make it. You figure out how to get to that design conference and learn from the best what it is they're doing. Not that you're copying. Remember, you're creating your own unique design, with example in this fashion industry. But this investment of going, networking, being with other designers, pretty soon you're going to find yourself collaborating with others and creating, say, the ultimate design. If you're into the sales, as mentioned earlier, go to the conventions, sign up for those events, and go and attend and meet those other individuals. This is your continuous growth. It's never ending. You may find, and I say this from, again, personal experience, is that you'll find you go to a conference one year and you meet certain individuals. You go to the conference another year, you meet certain other individuals. You go to the conference the following year after that, and you're going to meet other individuals. This is part of what's going to create your continuous mastermind. And you may even see people that were in your previous mastermind that you helped each other out and then just became good friends. And you may sit down and have a coffee and talk about how your career is better than theirs or theirs is better than yours or vice versa. And you're still remaining friends with them. But you may also be at that particular event having coffee with a new person who now is your level up, who is now that person you're chasing, that person who has those extra skills that you haven't quite acquired, and you want to learn from them how to, cut a specific pattern, how to stitch a specific stitch, how to perform a specific sale, how to be more innovative with the change in products, how to maybe learn a little bit more about social exposure with social media and marketing, understanding some of the new tools that are available for this career that you're in. This is it. Even some online courses. That during our so-called pandemic event globally on this planet, I mean, Zoom meetings went crazy, not only on the corporate level, but it was groups of individuals learning as a group, about maybe a new and different way to live, about healthy resources, about maybe career planning, retirement planning. I mean, that event alone, I think, was a cosmic shift to society. People who thought they weren't going to retire for a couple of years all of a sudden decided retirement was going to be a pretty good idea and to just, not do this thing anymore. And once they sat down and realized that it was actually a possibility for them, they went ahead and did it, which, I mean, don't get me started. It was a little devastating for the employment market, But nonetheless, those were changes. There was a whole bunch of people that decided to get much more healthier, not necessarily to lose weight and to be better, but just realizing how important health is and how devastating any type of a pandemic like that has an effect on everyone's health, and how being healthy has a much more survivability than being not healthy. So again, yeah, continue to be part of that industry that you're in and network with those individuals, because it is changing, and understanding what others around you are doing is going to help you navigate those changes rather than being blindsided to understand that, what you've always done all of a sudden doesn't always work. And then you go, oh, I need to change. And that might put you behind the curve. So invest in continuous growth is certainly one of the steps. And even, you know, attending some of these events where you're having conversations with someone that maybe they've seen your work and they go, hey, I really appreciated your work, although I'm a little concerned with how you do something. Hey, there's your new mentor. They're sharing with you their ideas, their opinions, and a little bit of their insight, and they've got some time in the industry. So certainly take that tremendous feedback that they're giving you and help hone and create your specific brand, as well as continue to just, stretch out a little bit. If you get, again, as you're thinking about it in the morning and you're thinking about it at night and you're reading and you're submerged, just immersed into this design life that you've created, this career, you're going to get some insights to some new ideas, some new things, some new designs, some new ways of doing things. Embrace those a little bit. They didn't come to you by accident. They came to you on purpose. So embrace those and treat each project or collaboration as this opportunity to enhance your craft even more and expand your expertise. Because I will also share with you that which you learn, it's a gift to you to use, but it's also a gift you have to give away. Write that down. The gift you are given is a gift for you to use. It's also a gift you have to give away. You're given something, you use it for your particular need and purpose. And part of the recycling process is that you have to gift it to someone else. That may be some insight as to the pros and cons of something. That may be, hey, this is great, and here's all the benefits that it afforded me. This is a common tool that everyone should use. Or it's a unique tool that I welcome you to give it a try and put your unique signature and spin on it. Remember, because we all have our uniqueness. Sharing those little nuggets of secrets is not detriment to your path, to your design career. Remember, you're doing specifically what you're supposed to be doing. So to share a little bit of your knowledge and what you've experienced with someone else doesn't all of a sudden make them your competition. And all of a sudden they are as knowledgeable as you, so now they're going to come beat you. Nobody is going to beat you at this process. It's your unique career design. So you have to share, and again, be a mentor. You accelerate through this thing, turn around, look back, and see if someone needs help along the way. And you might be that mentor that's even leveling someone up. And don't wait until you're all of a sudden crazy successful. This is happening like when you're in phase one. If you're a couple steps ahead and you see someone that's getting in, that's where you used to be, reach out your hand, put your arm around them and say, come with me. and share with them some things. You may be surprised that they have different ideas than you, but can use the tools that you're sharing with them. You may be surprised that all of a sudden this turns into the greatest collaboration this planet has ever seen because they think one way, you think another, and all of a sudden you've joined, and now you're on the path of success together, making some extraordinary things happen. So don't necessarily think that helping someone is creating more competition, or helping someone is going to allow someone to just surpass, because I will guarantee that even that person which you helped and they succeed maybe above you a little bit, ahead of you a little bit, if you've shared with them with the heart of a teacher, your authentic self, not what your authentic self can do, but just what your authentic self has learned, you may be surprised that their acceleration helps to then level you up. And they're going to grab your hand and help you get over a few hurdles. And you may do this with each other as you're collaborating and exchanging ideas. And like I said, become the greatest pair in the design industry, become the greatest pair in the sales industry, become the greatest pair in the, I mean, yeah, it's endless as far as what goes on. And I think it's really a misnomer that we've thought that if we help somebody, they're going to kick our tail and move on. And we've really kind of lost that understanding of humanity. I mean, there may be one or two individuals out there that have done that in this lifetime, but it's certainly not the norm. And there's certainly exceptions. And I would almost dare to say they probably aren't in business anymore either, to some degree. That kind of mindset and behavior is very short term. So remember, those that you help might be those that will help you. Cultivate resilience and adaptivity. You know, learning from some of the setbacks. Like I said, life is all about learning. We learn some lessons. There's going to be a few obstacles. There's going to be a few, not going to say failed ventures, but you know, they're lessons. We're going to learn. Maybe there's a project that's stalled, you know, and you're just not kind of getting somewhere on it. Or maybe there's a certain sales technique that's just not working. Don't necessarily throw it away, but keep working on that which works, and kind of keep that in your back pocket. That thing that just sort of didn't happen, but you're like, I don't, it was successful for a couple people and they kind of shared it. Keep it in your back pocket, because I think a lot of times it's that maybe came at the wrong time, was maybe implemented in the wrong way, and now having it sort of in your tool bag, in your back pocket, you know, in your briefcase, in your bag of resources, that it's something as you get through maybe a few more lessons, you go, oh, I have a different way to implement this. You know, that was a great design. I don't know why people didn't appreciate it in the fashion industry. Set it aside. May not be its time. You know, bell bottoms and large cuffs, low cut pants, all the rest of the crazy fashion stuff that's come and gone, it had its time, and sometimes it comes back. And you could be ahead of the curve, so don't throw it out. Just realize that now's not necessarily the time, but it eventually could be your time. You could be that spark of innovation with something that's reimagined. So don't necessarily think that everything was bad. Just kind of keep it in the file. You know, keep that on reserve. And again, evolve with a purpose. The most fulfilling careers often involve multiple chapters where you allow yourself to pivot and maybe outgrow a role, or you discover a new passion. You're probably right there now as you're listening to this going, yeah, I'm just really not feeling like I'm doing what I should do and where I should be, and just not fulfilling life as I should. And you probably aren't. And don't feel bad. Again, what's the thing that I teach? Take a moment. Don't feel bad. I want you to smile, and I want you to pat yourself on the back, a good pat, that you recognize you're not at the place you belong. I mean, that's the biggest step right there, is realizing that you're somewhere you don't want to be. So congratulate yourself with a smile, a pat on the back, say, hey, I'm awesome. I realized I'm not comfortable and I want to change things. And I want to sit down and start designing my next career path, because it's not this, it's something else. And find out what that is through your why and through what you can be doing. And remember, don't worry about the how. We'll get into that in a couple other episodes, but the how, that will fall into place. And most likely, even from some of the steps mentioned here today, you'll discover how, just through, again, immersing yourself into that which is your dream, desire, designed, full of passion career. You know, if you found this episode insightful, or you think of someone while you were listening to it that, man, this would really resonate with them, I think this would be really helpful. Please feel free to like, share with them, and subscribe to the channel if you found it most beneficial. See, designing your dream career is an act of self-discovery, creative planning, and bold experimentation. Trust that each step is part of the larger blueprint for your crafting of your life. As the architect of your future, you have the power to shape your professional and personal path. That which resonates with your core values, leverages your unique strengths, and aligns with the lifestyle you desire. Embrace the process, stay open to new possibilities, and build the career and life you truly want. This has been another wonderful episode of Ask Adam. Remember, always seek knowledge. That includes yourself. Understanding the career you want, the life you want, and just where you want to contribute to be an effective part of this world. Now let's go out and make it a great day.